Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews here with George Boyd, or we're at the White Pele, of course. How you doing, Boydie?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
That's all right, not to worry. And I've enjoyed obviously just having a little chat there, just off stream for a second as well. And we'll get into your time at Stevenage there now. When you were part of the FCO scheme after being released by Charlton, and just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we had like a Premier League trial where everyone who's been released from the Premier League teams goes to Bisham Abbey, I think it was, and there's like a whole day of trial matches. And I think I had Stevenage, Farnborough, and Bristol City with the only three teams. I had to play left back that day because there were too many players for wingers. So I decided to go to Stevenage with a trial, and I just think the whole process of Wayne Turner was obviously the first team manager. He came to the trial day and he sort of took me under his wing straight away, and I thought that was just a lovely touch from the first team manager, and just to feel wanted again after obviously getting released by Charlton. It sort of made my mind up straight away.
And then, of course, you were in the academy for a while and part of that FCO scheme, and we've got some sort of thing to discuss in regards to that as well, because when you were on the FCO scheme, of course, you were studying, and to actually get over to Stevenage, is this, I'm not too sure how true this is, in regards to having to, earn some money by working at the sweet shop in Hitchin, and then, basically paying your way to training through that.
Yeah, I sort of just get my I'd go home every weekend back to Kent. So I worked with my mate Dougie Key, and his dad owned the train station sweet shop. So I worked there just to get my train money back home. But obviously I had to pay. My parents paid for my digs while I was there. I was staying in Hitchin, and obviously doing your FCO college work at the same time was a lot. But I wouldn't have changed anything for it.
And then let's get into your senior debut as well. It was a game against Margate, and we lost that game. But what was that like for you in particular to get your first sort of taste of senior football?
Yeah, well, I was so desperate to play. I should never really have played because I actually pulled my hamstring, but I never told the manager at the time. So I think I came off at half time as well. I could barely run. So I should never have really played that. I wasn't fit, but I was so desperate to make my debut. And I think Joe Flack he came on maybe the game before me at Boxing Day, and then he played as well. And I think we lost. I can remember it. Was it John Segura? He scored for Margate, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or
I think he scored for us. Yeah.
For that, yeah.
And then, of course, that was. Go on, mate.
And men's football was just so different to the FCO scheme. It's just a different ball game, totally.
That's what I was going to ask, really. In regards to the main differences as well, coming into men's football, and straight away, I think Paul just put a comment in there as well. What did the manager say about you playing whilst you're injured? Was that something that you kind of didn't tell him, or you did tell him, or?
I didn't tell him. I told our youth physio, said, "Oh, I think you've got a bit of a tear in your hamstring. I'd advise you not to play." But I was just so desperate to make my debut. I just played. But looking back on it, I should never have played because I'm a bit of a mare.
But no, it's that was just your first game, and then it all kind of kicked on from there. Really, you had a good number of seasons for the club, and you scored your first goal against Northwich Victoria, scoring the winner that day. And kind of a similar question to the last one. How was that for you? Scoring your first senior goal as well.
Yeah, that was amazing. I think I jumped into the crowd as well. It was a good goal. I can't remember. Someone zinged the ball out wide. It was all in the air as well. Someone volleyed it across, and then I volleyed it back post. Great feeling, obviously, to get your first goal in senior football.
And of course, that was the first of many. And the next couple, I think you scored against Northwich again as well. So that's a club that obviously you enjoy playing against.
Yeah. I think that was maybe a good, comfortable win, that one, 4-0. But I really enjoyed that. When Graham brought me in, I was probably like an impact player to start with, coming off the bench towards the end of that first season. It was really enjoyable, and then more starts the following season where I was sort of bedded into the first team culture.
That's right. And then in that following season as well, You scored quite a few goals. You scored in the FA Cup as well, and playing alongside Anthony Eldon. That was, I think it was. Were you actually playing alongside him or kind of off of him?
I was on the left to him, yeah.
Yeah, but that was, a fantastic team as well. When you look back at that, obviously the likes of Anthony up front, Dino up front as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dino and Anto are great strike force for the conference level, and Eldon was obviously the main man, scoring all the goals. We had some good players there. Obviously, Jason at the back, and then we obviously got to the playoff final, didn't we, that season, and just missed out.
And of course, you mentioned there in regards to the playoff final as well, and just look back on that season as a whole. I know you scored against Carlisle. I think it was only about 5 or 6 weeks beforehand, and then of course you played a part in the games against Hereford as well, the semi-finals, and that was that was a great two-legged sort of tie, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I think the Carlisle game towards the end of the season was a 3-3. We won 3-2. I can't remember. It was a game, and then the Hereford away was brilliant. I just remember me and Nursey coming on and running it into the corners, and that was a great feeling to get to the final. But I think we fully deserved it. Obviously, Dino's goal was massive in the first leg and set us up for the final.
And of course, Dino got the goal in the first and the second leg as well. Then he got the one. I think it was it off the crossbar, and then he kind of just followed in with a rebound with his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was obviously a great sort of moment there for the football club. And in your penultimate season for the club, that was probably your sort of top goal scoring season. I think you scored against Woking, Tamworth, Exeter, Dagenham, loads more as well. I could list probably all of them, to be honest. Like there was FA Cup goals in there as well, and
I think the games. Dimo sort of put me a bit further forward as like a 10, which I thoroughly enjoyed. That's probably why I scored so many goals that season, and obviously I got the move on the back of it.
Yeah, and then of course it was a couple of FA Cup goals, Kettering and Northampton as well, and that was you were still quite a young lad. So what was that like for you to obviously test yourself against somebody of a higher sort of opposition?
Yeah, I think obviously you're doing well in your own league, but you always want to test yourself. Obviously, league football is where everyone wants to play, and then I think the Northampton one where we drew 2-2 at home, that I scored a nice goal in that, and that's when you start to believe that you can play at a higher level. And I think we lost back at their place, didn't we? But it was just great to test yourself against better players.
And of course, that, as you say, was one of the main reasons in regards to you getting the move. But then obviously, if you look back before that as well, there's a couple of games where, the Merthyr Tydfil game, the 7-0, I think you scored 4 in that game, if I remember correctly. And then even on your final appearance as well, you with a difference against Aldershot. So was that important for you to kind of sign off your time at Stevenage, knowing you're going to move on to Peterborough, in kind of a positive way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we was on such good form. We won so many games in a row, didn't we? And we're really looking good to get at least in the playoffs that season. So obviously, on one hand, you don't want to leave because you're enjoying your football and doing well, but then obviously you can't turn down the opportunity to play league football.
Absolutely, and that's why a lot of Stevenage fans love you, because of that dedication, that passion that kind of was right up to the very final day. You were the difference against Aldershot, and players. Sometimes some players know that they might be on the verge of a move, so then they're kind of not as bothered, if that makes sense. But that was certainly not the case for you.
No, I pretty much knew it was done before that game, and obviously knew it was kind of my only chance to say goodbye, really. So it was a fitting way to finish. But yeah, I just wanted to give my best and finish on a high note.
And of course, then you moved on to Peterborough as well. When, of course, when you were at Peterborough, there was always the pre-season friendlies against Stevenage. So was that nice for you to kind of come back and still, have a little bit of something with the Stevenage fans as well, and kind of come and see the Stevenage fans again and play in front of them?
Yeah. I mean, the first one was really weird, obviously, because it was only like 6 months since I left, so that was weird. But then I remember a few years later we played in the Cup, didn't we? And that was a good 4-3 game.
4-3, yeah.
For Ronnie Henry's testimonial, it's always great to be home. It just feels like home. It just don't feel any different.
And of course, you mentioned that you played under a couple of different managers. Graham Wesley, Mark Stimpson as well. Turner, and you played under a good sort of couple of different managers there. And who was your sort of favourite manager that you played under, or who did you sort of learn the most from?
They're all great. I mean, Wayne Turner, I always have massive respect for bringing me there, and the way he was sort of a father figure for me, and sort of bedded me in around the first team at a very young age. I thought I sort of trained with him as soon as I moved there, really, which is great. But I think Graham brought me on massively as a man, physically and mentally. It tests you a lot, which was what I needed at that age. A lot of people seem to get rubbed up the wrong way with Graham, but I always got on really well with him. And then Stimo came in, and that was just thoroughly enjoyable. Wanted to play football the right way, and training was brilliant every day. And obviously moved me into that attacking role, which I loved. And he was great for Stevenage, Stimo.
And of course, you mentioned Stimo there as well. He's just won the FA Trophy again, and he had a very good time at winning the FA Trophy at Stevenage, and even before that as well. When now he's gone on and he's done it again. And I think he might even be the record holder of in terms of winning it now in terms of manager. So that's a big achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, he's had one probably crack at league football with Gillingham, which he done well, and obviously it didn't work out. But he's a really good manager. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another opportunity in the league. As I say, he plays football the right way and plays out from the back, and I think the fans appreciate the way he plays, and it's entertaining and attacking football. And
of course, we touched on it just a moment ago that you played alongside Anthony Elding. You also played alongside Steve Morrison as well. So you've certainly been in good company.
Yeah, I mean, Mozza was brilliant, wasn't he? And he's gone on and proved what a good goal scorer he was throughout the divisions. And obviously we had Steve Guppy on the left putting in the balls, and that team we had with Stimo was brilliant, really enjoyable. We had Dobbo on the other wing. I think the fans would have really appreciated that team at that time.
It was a fantastic team, and the vast majority of that team were the team that went on and won the trophy for the first time as well.
Yeah, it was the same season when I think I left, and it was that season. I remember going to watch the final.
And of course, sort of you were saying there that you were at the final, and that was a mad final, wasn't it, as well? 2-0 down, and then coming back in the second half the way that we did to get the win. And of course, Mitchell Cole playing a part as well. And of course, obviously, he's no longer with us now, but he was instrumental in that comeback, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he was. I mean, his pace was electric, wasn't it? And he was a massive asset that day. And I think that pretty much summed up our season. Very entertaining, never say die, and just a great character from the team.
And absolutely, yeah, and that was great to obviously have you there supporting the team as well. That's obviously very much appreciated. And then if you look back at more recently, you came down to Ronnie's testimonial, and we think you just touched on it just a second ago. But how important was that for you to come down? Obviously, you weren't able to play in the game, but still to kind of show your face and just be there for Ronnie, and kind of even just show your face to the Stevenage fans again.
Yeah, it's brilliant. As soon as Ronnie said, there's no question I was going to come down and support him. He's been brilliant for the club and fully deserved it, and deserves his job at the club now. He's a legend for the amount of times he's played and how well he's done over that period of time. So I think just showed the amount of fans who turned up for him, showed what a great asset he's been to the club.
And then of course you played for Peterborough, as we said, and also you went on to Nottingham Forest, Hull as well, and Burnley. So that's if you look at your own rise, that's a big rise as well, even to play internationally for Scotland. And how does that make you feel? Kind of if you look back at your time on Stevenage and then kind of go to a little bit more, like your time at Hull where you were playing the FA Cup final, for example. So it's a big rise and a big jump.
Yeah, and I've had previous interviews where they say, "Would you done it any other way?" But I'd always say to any kid, like even if you get released to start, I think my journey's been the most enjoyable because I've been up for every level and got to see every level, and to go from conference to international footballs, it's been a hell of a ride.
And of course, we touched on you playing for Scotland there as well, and that's of course that come about through your grandfather, wasn't it? He was Scottish, so that's how you kind of got into their kind of reckoning and sort of being able to play for them. And what was that like to wear the Scotland kit and to go out and play international football?
Yeah, it was amazing. He was really proud. He'd wear it around the house. I'd give him my first shirt against Slovakia, and he wears it around the house. Or he did. He passed away. But yeah, it's just very proud for the Scottish family, and hopefully they do all right on Friday.
Absolutely, of course, it's that's what I was going to bring you onto in a minute as well. But in fact, we'll kind of go on to that now. The fact you brought it up, it's a massive game on Friday against England, isn't it? As well, it's even more so on the back of the kind of first results for both nations, with Scotland obviously getting beaten and then England winning as they did. So that's going to be an interesting game. Of course, being played at Wembley as well. But it's an interesting game on so many different levels if you look at the two sides.
Yeah, I mean, England-Scotland's always going to be massive. It's just a shame there's not a full house to watch it. But obviously, yeah, I mean, Scotland were unlucky the other day. That it was a worldy goal. We had a few good chances to get back just before that. But it's England-Scotland. It's always going to be massive, and don't really need to get up for it. I remember one game a few years ago. We played at Wembley in a qualifier or a friendly, and yeah, it's just amazing atmosphere, and everyone raises their game for it. And I'm sure it'll be fantastic for the neutral on Friday.
And we've got a few comments here. We've actually got a fair amount of comments here. So we said about that one, about that. Yeah, this is certainly a valid point. Going back to your first ever game, the passion and dedication right there, still playing whilst you were injured. And then also, go on, mate.
That's a bit silly, I think.
And also, this is one here from Richard as well. That the last in memory was when we played Burton when Gaza was manager. Was that was Kettering, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think that was the FA Cup one, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was Kettering. Yeah. And I remember because I think I'd actually been away, and we were in Dubai at the time, and Gaza was actually there as well. So we actually met him, and then I think about 2 weeks later we went to the game, and he was managing Kettering. So it was really just a weird circle. Yeah.
I think Stamp scored as well. I'm sure Stamp it was 2-0 maybe.
It was 2-0 or 2-1, yeah. And then I remember that game really well, and also this one here about the Merthyr Tydfil game as well, which was a fantastic game. And then we've got this one here. This is the burning question. It's been going around. I'm sure you're probably sick of it now. About what are your plans for the future? Of course, you've just left Salford, haven't you? And a lot of Stevenage fans saying they'd love for you to return in some capacity at some stage. You've probably sick of hearing that now, are you?
It's just the location thing. I'm obviously settled up here in Manchester. It's too far. I did the commute with Peterborough, which is really tough. And Alex had tried to get me in January. He said, "What were you doing?" and that, and I just couldn't do the commute and be away from the family. But if I lived closer, I would be there. But I just can't do the commute.
Fair enough. And then this one here is in regards to a 4-4 game at home to Southampton for Peterborough in League One. Just seeing if you remember that one. I think Craig McHale-Smith played as well in that game. Somebody else that's actually come on and played for Stevenage just a few years ago as well.
Yeah, that was a great game. There was loads of penalties in that game. It might have been on Sky as well. They had a great team, Southampton. They had Oxlade, Chamberlain, Lambert, Lallana. So they had a very good team. For League One, it was crazy.
And Paul says there in regards to Scotland as well. What did you make of the goalkeeper? And obviously what happened with the second goal.
Yeah, it's a tough one because obviously his position it was from a corner, wasn't it? So he's not goal line from a corner, and sometimes you just got to say well done to the striker. He's had the audacity to look up and you see the camera of the one behind him where he's curled it so far outside the post. I think sometimes you just got to applaud the striker for trying it and scoring it.
And Paul there, will a crowd-funded chopper help?
Get it.
Try and get you there every week, yeah. Let's have a look at the next question now. As we touched on that about your rise through the game, and there was a couple of questions from a mate of mine who's a Burnley fan as well, and he wanted to know in particular about the game against Man City, scoring the winner in that one.
Yeah, I'd love my time at Burnley. Yeah, it's probably my favourite goal ever, to be fair, the Man City one. the atmosphere that day at Turf Moor was unreal. So it was a great win against the champions, and one I'll remember forever.
And then so let's have a look at what we've got next. So so let's kind of go to your time at Salford as well, where you were at last season. And first of all, what was that like to play under a team that's owned by so many Manchester United legends, the likes of the Nevilles and Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, etc. Did you get many dinners with them?
No, obviously when I first joined Scholes, he was the caretaker manager. I had him for about a week, and he joined in still in the squares and the keep balls. He's still unbelievable. Obviously then Richie Wellens came in, and I didn't really get a look in. But they're just so passionate about the club. Gary Neville's, it's literally 90% of his work week is so passionate to get it right, and I think eventually it will get it right. They've got a really good squad, and we've just missed out this season. But with Gary Bow, who's just come in, he done really well when he came in. Next season should be good for them.
And of course, you touched on the sort of managerial side of things there with the likes of Paul Scholes, etc. And is that something you would consider yourself? Would you ever consider kind of going into that route of sort of managerial or coaching? Or obviously, I know that you're involved with your own business as well at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about coach or management. I would love definitely to stay in football in some capacity, but obviously I don't know yet. But I'm not sure if it would be coaching or management. But I love training still every day, and want to try and play as long as I can to be honest, and then see what happens.
And so we've got a question here from Richard. What did you make of Stevenage's performances last season? The fact you obviously played against the club as well.
Yeah, I think he was coming in really good form when we played our place right at the end of the season, and that was a massive win for us, obviously going into the playoffs. But just a really organised side. Like the right back, I can't remember his name. He scored a great goal, didn't he? He looked
Luther Weldon, yeah,
got a great goal. I just think really organised, and I think if you showed that form as you did probably after Christmas, it would have been a really good season. Since the new manager came in, he's done really, really well.
And the next question really is in regards to some of the signings that the club have made. Do you know many of the kind of players that the club have signed, or have you dealt with many of them in the past?
No, I've not seen it. Who have they signed?
So there's the guy from Exeter, the old captain, Jake Taylor.
Yeah.
So he's signed, and then there's a guy that was signed yesterday from West Ham, a young sort of lone goalkeeper. And who else is there? There's some of the loan ones have signed permanently now as well. Arthur Reed signed permanently, the midfielder, and Ben Coker's agreed to stay. That's so there's a few. Daly from Bristol Rovers as well, the striker. There's a couple. I don't know how much you know about those sort of guys.
Too much. Obviously, the nucleus of the squad was doing really well last year, so maybe it's just adding a few things here and there and building on last season's momentum.
And Nikki's put a comment there as well. Nikki that used to do Borough Bear. She just says, just to say hi, really.
Hi, Nikki.
So what have we got to look at next? So we touched on that game with Burnley against Man City. With Alex Revell in charge, what do you make of the job that he's done as a whole? And, where do you sort of see the club going next season? Do you think the club can go on a bit of a rise now?
I think definitely, yeah. I think just keep. It's obviously his first job, and he's done. I think he's done really well last year. As I say, building on that momentum of the form from the second half of the season, going into this season, adding a few things here and there. There's no reason why it can't be a really good season. You see the players are right behind him, which is really important. And obviously he's been around him before in a coaching capacity, and then it's just gone up a level, and he sort of took it in seamlessly.
Absolutely, and he's got experience there alongside him as well with Mark Sampson and Dean Wilkins, who come in particular in January, and that was the big difference. Really, was Dean Wilkins coming in? He really sort of helped him turn the corner, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, you need experience, especially for a first job, and obviously Samson's a really good coach, which has helped him as well. So yeah, it's a good coaching squad there, and as I say, just building on last season's form and taking it into this season.
And of course, John Ashton was there as well, and now he's gone on to Ipswich. And Romain Vincelot was, on the playing side last season, and now he's come on and joined as a fitness coach as well. So to have that experience of Romain sort of still around the club as well is going to be big, especially because considering the part he was, last season involved in the dressing room, etc. It was a big part.
Yeah, and you want people who know the club, who have been around the club, so it's a great appointment, and it just adds to what you've already got.
And then, yeah, absolutely. So we've just got not too many more things to cover really in terms of questions and that. But you went on and you actually made over 100 appearances for the club as well. And when you look back on your Stevenage days, do you look back on them, fondly, and look back on the fact you made, a lot of appearances there, and were able to play a part, with the goals you scored, and actually then you look back on the rise as well, and sort of say, yeah, I was a part of that, in the early days.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the most important part of my career, going from a boy to man, really. Obviously, during when I was like 16, 17, and doing the college and stuff, some days you think, oh, why am I doing it? But it's all worth it once you make your first team debut and you're around your mates playing football. It's just thoroughly good times, and still friends with a lot of them still today.
And so how was it last season from a playing perspective as well, playing without fans? Did you have one or two games with fans in the end, or
No.
didn't have any at all due to because the restrictions were more sort of down south, weren't they?
Yeah.
Where they were lifted for a while. So what was that like, playing without fans? Was that kind of difficult to get up for matches?
I think you get used to it in the end, but at the start, it's difficult because it brings so much to the games. I think you've seen since like the FA Cup final with fans, and it's just a totally different game. It fires the players up, and hopefully next season it's some sort back to normal, and the fans want to be back in, the players want them back in, and hopefully we can sort that out for next season.
And hopefully, obviously we've been put back a month now, and hopefully when it comes around to pre-season, the fans can get in for at least some of pre-season. Then you kind of got a sense and a bit of an idea of how the season's going to pan out. That then sort of that way on. Yeah.
Well, I think every pre-season will be sold out just to watch this game of football, won't it?
Doesn't matter who you're playing. Yeah, it could be like anybody, and you'll be there. It could be the local boys 7-a-side team. Yeah. Yeah. But no, we got a question here from Paul as well. It says, how important is the education part of the game? So many kids fall through academies with no support, and that's a very good, valid question as well.
Yeah, massive point. Yeah, I mean, I was always taught that you need something to fall back on. So the college scheme was perfect. It was just a sports diploma, BTEC sports diploma, and obviously a lot of, I can't remember, maybe one or two of our whole 22 squad probably made it as a profession, as a footballer. So the percentage of actually making it is very small. So you do need something to fall back on, and that's what these sort of schemes are there for. I think they're brilliant.
And yeah, absolutely. So that's that question answered. Then Matt's put a question in here as well, saying that you were linked with Southampton a few years ago under either Claude Puel or Ronald Koeman. Was there any kind of contact, or was it just kind of rumours?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that one.
No, so that was more just rumours. Okay. So then we touched on your time at Stevenage there, and kind of I mentioned it a minute ago. You're actually involved in business as well. You've got your property investment business, and how was that? When did you kind of get set up into that, and how was sort of that sort of juggling your football alongside that as well?
Yeah, we had quite a few buy-to-lets to start with, but we've just done a flip on a property we bought. It was an old shop. We've just turned into a 4-bed house, which was good.
Okay.
Enjoyable, yeah. It's my first one, so a big learning curve, but really enjoyable, and it's up for sale now, and hopefully do a few more this year.
And that's something. So you've only just been in that for a short while, have you, at the moment?
Yeah, the flipping we've done, we've only just started that, but we've obviously buy-to-lets for a long time, but it's just our doing a flip, so it was really fun, and obviously the market's a bit crazy at the minute, so we'll wait till it settles down a bit and try and buy a bargain somewhere.
It's crazy because I actually know that from the other side as well. I'm going to be moving into a place in Stevenage. So I'm currently in the Old Town at the moment. I'm going to be moving from here to just up near the Lister Hospital kind of way, and that's going to be actually moving from like a flat into a house. So I know all about that sort of side of things from the flip side.
Yeah, I mean everyone wants to beat the stamp duty holiday, don't they? At the minute,
Yeah.
which is coming to a close. So I think that's why the market's been a bit mad with that. But I think once that closes, it should settle down a bit.
And yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, not too long. And so we've touched on that one. So we've just got a few more points, really. So you're a Crystal Palace fan yourself, and how do you look back on their season, and what do you reckon? In terms of where they're going to go now after Roy Hodgson's departure.
Yes, it's a difficult summer for Palace because we've got so many players out of contract, and obviously no manager at the minute. So I think the appointment of the manager needs to be done ASAP, and then obviously get the players in. I think Zaha will probably leave this summer. He's been a great servant, and obviously wants to leave every transfer window, don't he? So
Yeah,
I think if we get a good price for him, he'll leave, and it's just using that money to build the squad. I think it's 14 players out a contract, so it's a big number to try and get the squad going. But obviously Benteke actually scoring this season helps, and you might not have to fork out for a striker this year.
absolutely, and that's good to have Benteke around, and if they can keep hold of Zaha, be a big one as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, there is about 14, 15 players out of contract and a managerial role to fill. It's a very big summer for Crystal Palace in the next few weeks and months ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, huge. I mean, I think Daishi's been rumoured to be involved in it, and I don't know how he's not got a job from Burnley yet. He's been brilliant. It's whether he wants to leave or not.
And was he your manager at Burnley? Was he?
Yeah.
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 So what was he like as a manager as well? To kind of work under him, because obviously there's kind of stories about his character and the type of person that he is on that. And obviously he's a fantastic coach, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. If he creates he's created a team spirit and a dressing room at Burnley where it's like a culture. Like if you don't feed into the culture and work hard every day, you'll pretty soon be shipped out. And that's probably why he's been there so long. Everyone beds into his ideas, and Burnley are always hard to beat. And I think that's proved. I think 5 seasons in a row they've not really been close to getting relegated. So he's done a great job with little money to spend.
Absolutely, and we've got a comment here from Paul again. When you were at Burnley, were you with Jason Shackle as well? That's obviously he's now doing property in Texas. Is he somebody that you've sort of stay in contact with?
No, I don't speak to Shaq. I saw him he was at Lincoln, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think last year or the year before. But his wife she's from Texas, so I think that's why they moved back out there.
Okay, and then Richard's just saying that he's back off to work. So he just says, can I say thank you for everything that you've done for Stevenage and your time at the club as well? Just a comment from him.
Lovely. Thank you, Richard.
And then Matt says, how does it feel for a footballer to play against the club you support? Is that a difficult, sort of challenging moment, or do you kind of look at that in a more positive light and kind of able to motivate you?
Yes, more of a motivation. You want to play at the stadium that you've gone and watched as a boy. So I always saw it as a motivation and a privilege to play at these places. So I loved it when we played at Selhurst.
All right. Then we just got a couple of questions. I think Russ might want to ask something as well in a moment, but we kind of got a touch on Stevenage through the lockdown as well in terms of supporting the local community, and that's something that doesn't surprise you at all, because that's what Stevenage have always been about, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a family place to live, and everyone helps each other out, which was always the way when I was there, and I'm sure it's never changed. And obviously, when I went back with Ronnie, it's the same faces you see around the club, which gives it that family feel, and I think that's so important for any club.
And I think let's just see whether Russ wanted to ask something. Okay, right. I'll have a look at that in a minute. He says thoughts on Palace's opening day fixture. Apparently, it's been announced as Chelsea. What would you make of that?
Yeah, it is Chelsea, isn't it? I thought it was Chelsea.
Okay, because I've been working, so I haven't been able to see today. So
Yeah, I think it's Chelsea.
yeah.
Chelsea away.
Right.
But I think they've been brilliant under Tuchel, haven't they? They've a really strong team, and I think they'll be even better next year and definitely be up there for the title.
And then, yeah, absolutely. I think Chelsea, Man City, Man United. I'm sure Liverpool will come back strong again as well. There'll be 4 or 5 teams around there, sort of, improve it. Sort of, they improve. Sorry, I should say, and kind of continue on with, in terms of Man City as well. And then we've got a quick and Palace as well. Yeah, you can always dream. The next one was, do you wish you had the chance to play your trade overseas? If so, where would you want to have played?
No, it never interested me to play abroad. I think once you play in the Premier League, it's the best league in the world, so there's no reason to leave for me.
You wouldn't fancy playing in Scotland, doing going to Rangers or Celtic or somewhere, no?
Yeah, I would have gone Rangers, I think, if the opportunity came above.
Fair enough. And then we've kind of got one or two more questions really, and of course, your dealings with Phil Wallace as well. What were your sort of dealings with him? And the job that he's done at Stevenage over the years has been incredible, isn't it, for the chairman?
Yeah, I mean he's put a lot of money into the club, and I think how long he's been there as well shows how passionate he is and how much he loves the club. Phil was always great to me. I think when we put that release clause in it to start with, I don't think he thought anyone would buy it. So when Peterborough came in, I think he was rubbing his hands together, to be honest. Yeah, he's always been great to me, Phil.
And I've kind of got to ask this question as well. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. In regards to Nottingham Forest as well, and the move with them, and of course with the eye test kind of talk, was that more just sort of paper talk, or was there anything really behind that?
No. Yeah, they found me because I wear contacts anyways, so I had to have an eye test, and they told me to take them without my contacts in. Obviously, I need my contacts. To fail the eye test, but I think it was purely because Billy Davis, who I'd been on loan with, he was coming back in as manager, and he didn't fancy me from the first time, so it's a bit of an excuse. But that killed me because I had Palace as well, so I could have gone straight to Palace rather than Forest, which is annoying.
And you would have loved to have played at Palace.
I always think everything happens for a reason, because then a month later I moved to Hull and we got promoted, so obviously it happens for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've answered that question, Dan. George, in regards to returning to Stevenage, it's something that you would love to do, but it's obviously where you're based, and it's just not practical. Yeah.
Yeah. Family reasons.
It's fair enough. So I'll let you go, and thank you for taking some time out and having this chat as well. It's been nice to reminisce and to chat with you. And I know you're not going to return to the club, but I'm sure sometime in the future you'll be down for a game or for an event anyway. So we'll catch up with you there. I'm sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers.
Bye now.